Devastating floods in Queensland and New South Wales have left many asking how we can better prepare ourselves in the face of a climate that's becoming more extreme and unpredictable. And this extends to where we choose to live, how we build our homes and also how we garden. Sam Bowstead is an architect who helps clients design houses and buildings that are more resilient to floods.
I've been helping people since the 2011 floods with my work, which was a really, really bad flood here in Brisbane.
And what sort of changes have you seen since that?
I think I've seen an understanding that this is going to be a real problem for a lot of people, not just in this city, but also throughout the country, and a desire to want to improve people's homes and people's buildings to ensure that there's less damage in the future.
When buying a home with his two siblings, Sam decided to put his money where his mouth is, and he bought this classic Queenslander in the Brisbane suburb of Wilston, a suburb well known for its flood risk, compounded by the fact that it sits beside a local creek. The 2022 floods saw nearly 2 metres of water surge through the lower part of the house and the garden.
The house went relatively well. 95% of downstairs we were able to clean out and just make it safe.
And how quickly were you able to actually move back in?
We got back in the next day. A week later we had power back on, and so we were able to move forward and recover very, very quickly.
So do you put that speed down to the changes that you made to the property?
100%. What we were able to do here is understand our risk. We knew we were potentially up for a big flood, so the preparations that we made meant that we not only were able to save a lot of damage, but were able to get back sooner, which is the big difference compared to some of the people in our community here.
So what were the main changes that you made?
The main change that we made was to raise the house 1.5 metres. We knew how high the water was going to go in a bad flood, and we made sure that we were well and truly above that. Downstairs, we planned spaces that can work with water. So we have a garage, a laundry, and then this open utility rumpus room area. When we were doing down here, the first thing we did was redo the structure, the new posts and foundations to make sure it stood up for the next 100 years. And then everything down here is water-resistant materials. Polished concrete floors so you can easily wash out with big openings, marine ply and fibre cement walls, and single skin construction, which means that there's no cavities for water to get stuck in after a flood.
You see so many people building underneath their houses only to lose everything.
You do, and the way we've done it here is to work with the water, to design it in a way that allows the floods to go through and create as little damage as possible. And that's the way we need to design in flood-prone areas. Local councils will have some sort of data on what type of flooding and how high the flooding would go on your property. In Brisbane, for example, they have interactive mapping and a report that actually tells you a height for your particular house. We used to talk about a 1 in 100 year event, which gives the perception that a flood's only going to come every 100 years. But the truth is that it's a 1% chance of happening every year.
The flood not only impacted the home, naturally it also had an impact on the garden. And spearheading the recovery operation at the property is co-owner Pete, Sam's brother. So what was the garden like at first?
It was a filthy mess. There was sludge covering a lot of the established plants up to the flood line. There was a lot of debris that we needed to clean out. And so we were able to pressure wash them clean, and I think most of them are doing pretty well.
Following the floods, Pete conducted his own soil pH tests.
We actually expected with the floodwater that it would be quite acidic, but in fact it was more basic, the pH was higher, so we needed to add sulphate to give the new plants the best environment to thrive in.
Wow. And how about other contaminants? Were you worried about sewage getting into the water?
Yeah, definitely. As the waters rose, we could see water gushing out of the sewerage drains, and so we were quite careful to try and clean everything down and using PPE when we were doing that, so that I suppose we wouldn't get sick as well.
Now I can feel the water puddling under my feet. How is the soil now? What's its condition?
Look, it's very wet. It's really hard for the water to drain out of the soil. It was quite silty after the flood, and so that's meant that there's a lot of areas of the grass that just isn't growing very well.
Rough surfaces slow the movement of water and reduce soil erosion. So if a flood is coming, don't cut your lawn, leave it tall. And if you have bare soil, then mulch it.
We'd really appreciate any help you can give.
Pete and Sam have asked my advice about what other flood-resilient plants would work in their garden.
Need some attention.
Okay, show me.
This is an area that no matter what we do, we just can't get it to dry out.
So this is on the south side of the house, so it's cool, it's shaded, and it's very moist, which are three great advantages for gardening in the subtropics if you think it through. And if you look at what you've done here, already you've got two design solutions. You've got that gravel with some sleepers in between. If you carry that idea right the way down here, that will encourage the water to move through the gravel and off the site. You've got a raised bed here, which is perfect for planting. It's freely draining. So you can plant that up fully, and maybe you could put some pots of specimen plants, something architectural down here, just to green it all up. Now, just so happens that I've brought some plants which really like wet situations, and I can introduce you to them now.
Sounds great.
Now, I've got a selection of plants which I think would really transform that little area, starting with two types of ginger. This one here is a golden form of cocoa yam. Some natives are crinum, a native water gum, Syzygium wilsoni, which you can grow as a hedge or in a pot. Some banksias, swamp banksia, Banksia roba, a climbing fern, a tree fern, and the Brisbane lily. This is a swamp lily, and it doesn't mind whether it's wet or dry or salty water or fresh, and a native palm grass. And over here there's another native grass which really loves wet soils, and it gives a lovely lush form as a ground cover, and some larlotte. I know you like tree ferns.
I do.
This will be in its element on the southern side of the house. And I just think that together you've got the bones of a full display.
And so what makes these plants particularly flood resilient?
Well, all of these plants I've seen survive being underwater, maybe under a couple of metres of water for 3 or 4 days. So they are definite survivors. And in good times, the moisture and the shade and the shelter of the southern side of the house is just what they need to get through drought. Floods are sudden, dangerous and frightening, and with climate change we're likely to see more of them. So it's important that we think about how we can continue to live and garden in areas prone to flooding. So what's it really like living here?
It's beautiful. 99 days out of 100, we absolutely love living here. So we've just got to prepare for that one day, that small chance it's going to flood, which we have done, and we're ready for the next one.